FITMINDS production.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to FITMINDS Chicago. My name is Ambar, and today is the start of our new series of how to become a bus operator for Chicago Transit Authority, or what we all say CTA. That is actually how I started my career with CTA. I came in as a full-time bus operator, and I actually loved it. Did have its challenging moments like any other job, any other position at CTA or not outside of CTA, but I actually fell in love with being a bus operator. I transferred over into being a flagger, which is on the rail side, train side, because that's a stepping stone to become a train operator. But for this new series that we have on our channel, we are going to go step by step, story by story, experience by experience of my time as a bus operator and how I got there. So we hope that this video finds you well. We hope that this video answers all of your questions and puts your mind a little bit at ease of taking that leap of faith of becoming a bus operator. I was one that was a billing and technical support specialist at Xfinity. Working from home. There was a time where I was working at the store, but I knew what I was good at, right? With Xfinity, with what I would do. I was there for 5 years, so I worked my way up a little bit. And one day, Adrian, my husband, he was like, hey, CTA is hiring for bus operator. Like, do you think that's something that you're interested in doing? Because I'm looking at him like, me? Operate a big old bus like that? Like, have you seen those buses out there on that street? Me, like, the biggest vehicle that I have ever operated or ever drove has been like a Jeep Grand Cherokee. After that, no. So I was already going in the mindset of like being a little fearful because I just couldn't picture myself operating a huge vehicle. But got over my fear. I said, what am I to lose if I apply and I don't get in? And what am I to lose if I apply, try it out, and I actually end up loving it? And I actually did. So we're going to go step by step of everything of what it takes to become a bus operator, what you have to do before you actually start your first day of training, first day of orientation. Now, like I mentioned, I did become a bus operator July 2022. I did that for about a year and a half. I did leave the bus side and go onto the rail side January 2024. Now, if you are someone that's watching this video, you are a bus operator or in the process of becoming a bus operator in training, watching this video, if any of the information that I've shared with you on this video and the next few videos has been updated, has changed, please comment below. Let us know what has changed because, of course, it's been some time since I've actually gone through training, gone through the process of becoming a bus operator, but we thought we would give you the information that I have now from what I remember, what Adrian remembers from my experience, and go from there. So without further ado, let's jump right in. First step of becoming a bus operator, of course, is to apply, right? You're like, duh, Amber. Well, there's some things I want to point out, okay? Just follow me for a moment, right? So where you're going to go to apply is transitchicago.com. And their website, for the most part, is pretty mobile friendly. So if you only have access to a cell phone or maybe a tablet, you should be able to do this whole process on your phone or your tablet. Now, if you have access to a computer, please use that. It seems to be a little more easier to actually fill out applications because you know how sometimes websites and cell phones are a little finicky when you're trying to apply for a job. So to kind of alleviate some of the frustrations or stress of applying for a job on your cell phone, if you can get to a computer, please use that. But if you don't, let's keep moving, right? So on the top left hand corner, you have the 3 bars. You're going to click on that and you are going to click on the option, the drop down menu that says more. Under the more section, you're going to scroll down a little bit where it says about us and more, and you're going to click on, you guessed it, careers. And because there is such a huge push and such a big need for bus operators, that is what they are going to advertise the most on their website. Key takeaways just from you clicking on the careers section and bus operator being in the forefront of the career section is the starting pay rate. Starting pay rate that they have here is $27.12. But when you actually apply for the position itself, the requisition, it says starting pay is $27.60. So be with that as you may. Okay. So again, starting pay is $27. We'll just round down $27. You do get to top pay, which top pay here is $41.11. You do get to top pay within 45 months. Paid training, including CDL. We will jump into CDL in one of these videos, what it is to get your CDL, what you have to study for, what you actually have to get your CDL permit. You don't actually have to get the actual CDL itself. You don't have to. Let me be clear on that. The minimum of what CTA requires you to begin training is to have your CDL permit, which we will go into that in one of the next following steps. Moving right along. So then we're going to click on job postings for new candidates. And again, because such a big need, it's a big push for bus operators for CTA at this time. One of the very first things you're going to see is full-time bus operator. Now, when you click on it, there is a couple of things that I want to point out with this application, with this requisition, is that number one, and they have it highlighted in yellow, CTA is now hiring full-time bus operators. And there's a big emphasis on full-time because you have to know and you have to understand that back in the day, the way that you came in as a bus operator for CTA, you came in part-time. Part-time meant less hours, right? And then you also weren't getting full-time benefits. I know benefits is a big deal. People may have health issues, health conditions. They may have children that they need to, take care of, provide for. So that is something that CT has changed as early as I think 2021 is when they changed it from part-time to full-time. If I'm wrong, you already know what I said. Put it down in the comments below. But that's huge. From CTA only doing part-time to full-time, that's huge because you think about, you have to wait your turn to go from part-time to be turned over to full-time because you're losing out on benefits. And of course, it's better to become a full-time employee for any company, CTA or not, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to point out was the emphasis on full-time. They're using that as a tool, a way to reel you in to apply, right? Which it reeled me in, okay? One of the other things that I wanted to mention was, if you scroll down to where it says education/experience requirements. Now, the reason why I'm going over this with you is because I want to make sure that you realize who you're working with, right? Or who you're trying to work with. The very first bullet point of this education/experience requirements is you are required to submit to and pass a drug and alcohol test that is mandated by the FTA or Federal Transportation Administration. You have to think about it. You are driving people around for hours at a time. You're driving in circles. You're dealing with the public. And so it's a liability, right? You have a lot of people's lives in your hands because you're operating that bus. We want to make sure the company, the state, the country wants to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do. So if you are someone that drinks, and if you are someone that uses drugs, any type of substances, we may need to consider either quitting or pulling back of drinking if that is an issue that you already have before you even apply for the position. So let's just be honest with ourselves. Let's be mature about it. Like, hey, if you're really serious about this job that you need, because you need a better paying job, you need really good benefits, then you're gonna do what you have to do, right? That's bottom line. I'm not gonna sit here and preach to you. But again, they're gonna drug test you and they're gonna do an alcohol test. So just please be prepared for that. Second of all, of course, you have to be 21 years of age, because in order for you to obtain your CDL, you have to be 21 anyway. So that's a prerequisite. And lastly, you have to be able to achieve or obtain a CDL, which is the commercial driver's license, with the Class B permit, Class B CDL, with 2 endorsements. The first endorsements is air brakes. Those are the type of brakes that the buses operate with. And number 2 is passenger endorsements. So a way that you can start to study is what I did was I downloaded an app. And the app was called CDL Test Prep. I'm not sure if they still have it. I think the last time I tried to search for it, it wasn't available anymore. You could get like the free sample of it. I mean, it wasn't a lot of information that you could have gained from that free trial. But I did pay for the CDL Test Prep. It was maybe like $25 if I remember correctly. And with that, it gave you everything. And it was cool was that everything was on your phone, right? You think about, you're with your phone. Most people are with their phones 24/7. So why not take the opportunity to get that information, start to learn that information so that you can pass to get your permit. Now, if you already have a CDL and you're missing a couple of endorsements, then go ahead and get that, right? But if you're someone like me, I just had a regular driver's license. So I studied for the general knowledge for the Class B. And then I studied for the air brakes and the passenger endorsements. Now, if you're not an app person and you're more hands-on, you need the paper, or you need to have it in front of the computer with the bigger screen. You do have the option to get those materials either online or you can get them in the DMV, right? Now, what I will also say with applying, it is going to take some time for number one, for you to get a response back. Please be patient. I applied for a full-time bus operator in April of 2022, and like I said, I didn't start until July. So that's a few months that went by where it was a long process to become a bus operator, to get my start date, because you have to go through which is the next step is, if you are selected to move forward on the next step with after applying for the bus operator, yes, you have to do an assessment. This assessment is best to be done on a computer. Again, everything is mobile friendly. However, again, some of these softwares may get a little finicky on a cell phone or a tablet. So if you have access to a computer, it is our recommendation that you use a computer for this assessment. This assessment has a couple of sections like grammar, math, behavioral and situational scenarios. They want to see how you conduct yourself. Please take your time, in the sense of like, if you need a few days to prepare yourself, or you need a few days to actually sit down at a computer or sit down in a quiet place to do this test, then please, by all means, because you get to actually schedule the time of when, not schedule, but you get to choose when you actually want to complete the test. Most portions are timed, so just keep that in mind. But I think when I did my assessment, it took me like an hour and a half to do everything. So allow yourself, around an hour to 2 to do this assessment. And after you complete this assessment, you will get an email a few days later of the results. And of course, the results, you're going to either get a fail or you're going to get a good pass, right? If you get a fail, womp, right? You didn't answer some of the questions correctly, or you didn't answer the questions in the way that they want you to answer them. Whatever the case may be, you didn't pass, you failed. At that point, they will let you know that you are not allowed, or you will not be able to apply for that same position until a year later. So you won't be able to retry for that until a year later. Now, if you do get a pass, congratulations, shout out to you, right? You will move on to the next step, which is an interview, right? So I will leave that there. this was me. With obtaining your CDL permit, I know that there were people that waited until they got the interview to start to test and prepare for the CDL. But for me, because it was totally new language, new territory for me, I knew that I wanted to give myself enough time to read the material, learn the material, and retain it, so that when I go to the DMV to test for it, that I want to go in there one time. To obtain your Illinois CDL, there's only a few DMVs that actually allow you to take those exams. Right? For me, the closest DMV for me to take those CDL exams was the one in Downers Grove. I believe that's where it's at. That's a little bit of a drive for me. Okay, so for me, obtaining my permit and only doing it one time, I think they gave you a few times to take the test before you are not able to take it again for a period of time. For me, it was important to take my time with learning the material, because it was totally out of my comfort zone, totally outside of what I've ever known, just anything. So I wanted to give myself enough time to study the material, and luckily I did have an app that allowed me to learn the material and study for it, right? At any time of the day, on my lunch break, when I'm in the bed before I go to sleep, and so on and so forth. Obtaining your CDL permit may not be the next step for you, but just keep that in mind. That is something that they're going to ask you to obtain before you even get a start date. So keep that in mind. But in the meantime, my recommendation, you don't have to do what I'm telling you to do, and you don't have to do what I did. But my recommendation would be to start studying and start learning the material for you to receive and for you to earn and obtain your CDL permit for Class B with the air brakes and the passenger endorsement. That's it for this first part of how to become a bus operator. Although it's a long process, just know that it will be worth it. Hope that this video finds you well. Once again, my name is Amber, and we'll catch you in the next one.